This is Stephen Ogg. I play Trevor Phillips in GTA. Just wanted to tell you that VGS, oh, it's good in my world, baby.
Here's Video Game Sophistry, your one-stop shop for video games, news, reviews, and time-wasting fun.
Hi there.
Hi.
This is
VGS.
with
Me.
and
You.
and Zaboomafu. Classic kid show from the early to late 90s. I'm Andy Burkowski.
And I'm Dave.
And
Shaggy
of course,
Dave.
Shaggy Dave. Yeah, we're here for Video Game Sophistry. Kudos to anyone who can recognize that intro theme. The thing that's playing right now. You tune up just a little
It's
bit?
got like 8 seconds.
Okay. So for these last 8 seconds, all right, we'll put it down now.
Just wait. See if we can identify it. And that's it.
It's from a classic game, the developers of which we've talked to on this show several times. And yeah, we play it every week or whenever we're on. And, you know, just in case you're wondering what it was.
I had no idea what it was.
See? But now
I had to find it. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, now we know.
Sounds like I'm just in a tunnel
Okay,
trapped.
all right, good job. Well done. Where's the fail
And I
horn?
hear screams.
We need the fail horn for that
Sounds
one.
like I'm in a tunnel trapped.
All right, anyways,
That's
Video
just
Game
me screaming in the
Sophistry. It
background.
is video game time, sir. We've had quite the last few weeks in the world of gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Some big news recently, some big explosions with your favorite Southern gentleman, who is now going to be involved in one of the biggest video games franchises perhaps in the world. I got a chance to talk to an indie developer about a new way of making games. His game just came out. It's called Daylights. And it was just fascinating to see the new skills and tools that are being brought into the 2014 realm of gaming. It's absolutely fascinating. Cannot wait to talk about it. And in that indie theme, I also review Child of Light from Ubisoft. Unbelievably beautiful game. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I haven't seen a game this pretty maybe ever. There are some flaws, but it is, again, a gorgeous game that I can't wait to talk about. And yeah, we're back and ready to share our gaming goodness.
Yep.
All right, again, always...
I thought that was the cue
You
to
thought
go
that was
for
a
the
cue
news.
Oh, no, that's not the cue for the news. You should know this.
For the goodness.
Boom. No, what do I say? Every
always
week,
the same thing.
every week is...
Gotta change stuff up.
And now we have our...
No, not like that.
No?
No, that's so bad.
No, you don't like that?
No, it's too low.
That's my voice.
No, it's not. Have like a more.
Now we have our news of the week with Shaggy Dave.
This week in gaming,
I've got to do the news!
People don't want freedom. They want boundaries, rules, protection from invaders and from themselves.
It's a new year, and that means a new Call of Duty game with a little bit of Southern hospitality.
Power is a lot like real estate. It's all about location, location, location.
Superstar actor Kevin Spacey is starring in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Think private militaries and exosuits dealing with the murky underbelly of geopolitical warfare. There's a mouthful. And where there's geopolitical warfare, there's gotta be
Democracy? Democracy. Democracy is not what these people need. Hell, it's not even what they want. America's been trying to install democracies in nations for a century. These countries don't have the most basic building blocks to support a democracy. Start a democracy?
Just to let you know, he says it 6 times in the trailer. Sticking with new titles, Microsoft's new Xbox One exclusive is from Insomniac and is given the title Sunset Overdrive. Insomniac Games is heading back to its roots. Over-the-top, insanely vibrant shooters that feel more like Dreamcast trick skaters than Call of Duty. Everything is hyper-agile, hyper-drive, and ideally, hyper-fun. And sticking with Microsoft, the rumor mill is turning. Some say NeoGAF forum posters claim that this year at E3, Xbox will be announcing a new sequel to Rise, set in the Middle Ages, a new trailer for a fancy-dancy Xbox One Gears of War, and maybe even some Dynamite Halo goodies. But only time can tell. And if you know what these sounds are, chances are you already know. The Pokemon series is heading back to its roots with the announcement of Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. They're due out later this November and are slated to be the remakes of the original Ruby and Sapphire.
Shut up and take my money!
Andy Burkowski here, VGS Talk Radio AM 640. I had something else, but that's it.
What were you going to say?
I was going to do the auctioneer sort of thing. Hey,
I can't even do it. How do they talk so fast? Do you have to go to school for that? Or?
An auctioneer?
Yeah. Like, is there like a class or something like that?
Let's hear some more Mortal Kombat.
There's only like 26 seconds
Let's
left.
hear more.
I got to make these things longer.
I know. It's just we never talk usually.
It's
We'll just start.
It's just Mortal Kombat.
But yes, of course, very good news of the week, sir. Glad to have you back talking about it. Your top story, of course, is the biggest franchise perhaps in gaming, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to ask you, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, what do you think, Shaggy Dave?
Give me a break.
Kevin Spacey, what are you doing? Taking the words right out of my mouth. Well, you know, he said it in the trailer, right? So it's not really. But yeah, I really don't care, to be honest.
That was brilliant, by the way.
Yeah. So I know there's a little
delay.
There's a shortcut on the keyboard. It's you press the star button, and it's supposed to play the clip, but it failed. So I had to play it out of manually.
Anyways, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
I saw the trailer for it. Advanced Warfare, very creative title.
And there is some new information coming through.
Please share.
From Game Informer, as they always do, get that new information. Basically, the story, I'll set the stage for you.
You do that. I'll give you my thoughts.
The story is set in the year 2054 and revolves around an event that Sledgehammer co-founder Michael Caudry describes as a global 9/11. The event affected several major cities around the world, and a terrorist organization by the name of KVA, which is a terrible acronym. KVA is behind it. VGS is behind it. And you'll be playing as Private Mitchell, voiced by the always enigmatic Troy Baker, who starts the game as a U.S. Marine and is later asked by Will Irons, the son of Jonathan Irons, not Jamie Irons, who is voiced actually by Kevin Spacey. That's what we've seen so far, the CEO of the Atlas Corporation, to join his father's PMC. Mitchell then puts on an exoskeleton and starts killing things.
Wow.
And that's setting up the basic understanding of the game, of the campaign that you'll be in. It does seem a little bit typical, but I think this is the first time we've really seen a game of Call of Duty, adopt this tech new war sort of feeling. I think it's what's that?
Black Ops 2 did it.
Not like this though.
It's pretty
Not
much
so
the same
much
thing.
with exosuits.
It was I can't remember what year Black Ops 2 was. It was so long ago.
And also, this is very much next gen.
Yeah, Kevin Spacey's face looking real fine on the next gen.
Again, he's the Southern gentleman coming in to explain the way the world works.
It's very detailed.
And it's more than that too. Like you just from the trailer, there's amazing the stuff that you see on screen.
Yeah.
And how much that can be going on in one. It sets the stage of something that could be very exciting. I know they also have a vehicle that looked a lot like, what was that?
Oh, I don't know.
Halo
or
Star Wars.
Yeah, is it Star Wars?
Speeder
I don't know.
bikes.
They were somewhere in a forest.
Yeah, on the. You don't remember?
I'm just playing along.
Oh, okay, this is a joke.
Yeah,
folks.
so it's the speeder bike in. It's the speeder bike in
on the forest moon of Endor.
It's the speeder bike in Return of the Jedi.
Yes, indeed.
And okay, you can shoot. Yeah, that's cool.
Apparently, it's called the Pit Bull.
The Pit Bull.
And it's not certain if you can just get on this vehicle whenever you need to.
And just kill.
We saw a lot of the stuff inside. You know, there's some Spider-Man features where you can.
Yeah, you can wall climb.
Put some goo on your fingers and then climb
whatever
up a wall.
it is.
You can make. I thought that was really. They dedicated like a good 15 seconds on this tool that looked like a big tarp.
Yes.
That you could put in front of you.
I don't know what that was.
Make cover, but the cover doesn't cover you.
Yeah, it's just and the thing is in Call of Duty, the main thing is going for headshots.
Yeah.
And your head is exposed.
So I don't exactly understand that, but other stuff that we know, the soundtrack is going to be composed by Harry Gregson Williams. He's very famous for Metal Gear Solid, which is a very, very memorable score. So that should be, again, very, very excellent. Again, also work in audio. I think we've actually talked to this guy, Don Vicha. He's done some of the sounds in the terrifying games of Dead Space.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure we've had him on the phone or talked to him maybe even a year ago. But it's great obviously look at a game like this. What comes to mind?
Oh, I don't know. It came to just kind of. Well, when did it come out? I would say it was March. It kind of looks like Titanfall.
Titanfall. Absolutely. You look at a game like this and you immediately think Titanfall because you see things that kind of look like Titans. And more than that too, just the normal troopers look like pilots within that game.
And you can wall run
You
or
can wall
climb
run, yeah, you
walls,
can-
whatever it is.
This is definitely less arcadey.
Yeah.
You can tell that. It's definitely more high fidelity of what you're able to do. And they're trying to stick with, some level of realism. But it's interesting to see, for me, one of my biggest issues with Titanfall, they don't give you any sort of narrative whatsoever.
Yeah, when we were playing that campaign online, we played it, for people who don't know, we were playing it online, and Andy had a terrible connection. He was wondering why he was dying all the time. And during that campaign, all you hear is explosions and gunfire and a guy talking in the background very low. And we don't know what the hell the story is all about.
Is this a bad guy? We're supposed to kill this
yeah,
guy?
and I had no idea. And then we would switch teams, and I wouldn't know which one was good and which one. I still don't understand
Still
it.
don't understand.
I'm
We
gonna
went through
take
all
off. Know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go back and play Titanfall campaign, but I'm gonna turn off everything except the audio.
See? I don't think anyone, no one plays like that. And that's an example of a game that, because of their resources, they didn't focus on that sort of gameplay. But I think Call of Duty traditionally tries to bring a good story to their games.
Tries, yeah.
They try. But
try, again,
Sometimes they succeed. And when they can impact a good narrative into this first-person shooter mechanic, it works excellently. When they can make that work, I think it achieves, it resonates. It's the reason why, it sells more than anything else, because not only does it offer incredible online experiences, but there's enough of an actual game there, a real narrative to sink your teeth into that you can enjoy. And they spent the money to get Kevin Spacey. They brought
can
his
afford
face. Well, yeah, obviously they can. But they did the full mocap of his face. They want him to be in this. They're going to let him act, They're not going to let him, with a talent like that, not be showcased.
It's true. It's very true.
Why are you skeptical of that?
I don't know. It's because the thing is with COD games, I've said it a million times. The last good COD game was Modern Warfare 2. I'm just repeating myself, but that was the last good COD game for me. Black Ops was good, and then it just got...
I like Black Ops 2. I don't think it was too bad.
It's the same thing.
Well, they're all... Again, I think this one is at least trying to break out of the mold a little bit.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Yeah.
I didn't buy Ghosts
because
I tried it. I actually saw a good deal in the States. It was you get the download code for Xbox One and the 360 one for $20, and I didn't get it. So, but that was my mistake. For $20, right?
Yeah.
But Ghost, I tried a little bit. The only thing I liked about it was the dog. Right.
But the point of, the game is trying to break the mold a little bit. It's trying to...
I hope so.
Still maintain, because it does still need to, pick up where it did leave off in a lot of ways of the franchise in terms of, what you can do. It doesn't want to seem completely alien. They never made Call of Duty game that's a turn-based, action-oriented thing. It's never going to be like that. And nor should it, because they know how to make these games really well. I'm just a little concerned that, because they even say now that you can hover in midair and you can do, super jumps.
Yeah, you can go
equivalencies.
invisible too, right? Another Titanfall thing.
And it's just, it seems very, very Titanfall-esque to the point that there might be some infringement on story rights.
Yeah, I know. I wonder if it's basically just a slap in the face. Hey, guess what we can do too, right?
But they can do this even better, obviously, because they have the resources to support it. But I am not normally excited for these games, and I'm a little more optimistic because of Kevin Spacey's face, and because I like the fact that they're trying to change it to a little more Future War-esque. I like that in games.
Did you play the Black Ops 2 campaign?
I played it for a little bit.
Okay.
What kind of question is that?
Because it goes back and forth, right?
Yeah, in this game, apparently it's not. They're sticking with one main protagonist, and you're just following him.
That's good. I hope they don't do that other thing where you had to send the troops or whatever. You had to command them to do something. It was very stupid. I can't remember what it was. It was the stupidest mission I've ever done.
All right, anyways. So, again, I'm more optimistic. You are a little more pessimistic.
But I'm hoping for the best.
And that comes out in November, so we still have a little time to discuss debates and try and decide if this is worth your time. Now, of course, coming up very soon is E3. And Microsoft is already heading off the stuff they're going to talk about in E3. And basically they're saying in the next month, we have here from the rep Phil Spencer, Microsoft boss, Xbox boss rather, that there'll be a big news month. It's going to be stuff that you really shouldn't pass up. Basically, they're going to announce the new studio it's working with on some brand new IPs and what they're looking for in 2014. I think we're going to see a lot of Halo. I think it's going to be... Master Chief, Cortana's going to be talking. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be a huge showcase.
Well, because they teased it at last year's E3, right? Which is Master Chief in a cloak or something like that. And remember the Halo TV series they're going to put out, right?
Yes, of course.
I think it's Spielberg. Is it? Yeah,
I think so.
I'm pretty sure it's
He's
Spielberg.
associated
Yeah.
with it.
So yeah, that's going to be interesting. I was looking forward to it.
Yeah. Spencer has said that Microsoft E3 2014 will be more fan focused, which I feel I was at E3 last year. I thought it was pretty,
more swag.
Well, there's a lot of swag. It's a lot of stuff. Like, it's amazing how much swag they give away at these events. But yeah, that's a little strange kind of comment. Oh, a big detail. They're going to give more information about external storage support for Xbox Ones, because I know that I am packed up.
I only have 3 games, and I've used 17%.
I have like 10 games, and I only have 30% left.
I don't get it.
So, and these.
It's I've used 16. That's what I meant. 16 or whatever I said.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I'm the other way. I only have 30% left, so I'm going to have to make some choices.
I know, and I don't like that.
You don't have to make choices?
This is not Mass Effect.
So, okay, there's that. That's on the one side. Microsoft rather, is really trying to push the idea of fan-focused, big games coming out, kind of typical sort of things that we see, at any E3, but it's been a year since they really started talking about the Xbox One. Mm-hmm. This E3 will be the time for them to prove it.
Here's a question. Yeah. I know it's kind of on topic. Do you remember what the rumor was for the names of the Xbox One? It was like Xbox. Oh God, I can't remember what it was. See, it's been that long.
It was like Destiny or something. It wasn't Destiny.
Xbox Destiny.
It wasn't. I forget.
Yeah,
well,
see?
that's Patrick O'Rourke. Patrick O'Rourke.
Oh, by the way, Patrick O'Rourke, he had a funny. Our buddy from Canada.com, the tech editor.
Yeah.
Okay, he put Kevin Spacey's face on a dog from Call of Duty. I thought it was pretty funny.
We'll have that,
so
of
shout
course,
out to him.
on our Facebook page if you want to see it. That is Video Game Sophistry on Facebook. VGS_640. Follow us on Twitter. And, of course, online, you want to stream it at 640toronto.com/VGS, or go into the, host and shows. And also, we got a brand new page, nice and fancy. You click that host button, and you'll see exclusive online programming.
Yep.
Click that. You're going to see our show and some other shows that are here at the station. Ours is, of course, number one.
We didn't put our faces on it because we're too good.
That's
right?
it. Yeah, we're too good. They said our faces weren't photo friendly, so we don't know what that means.
It wouldn't fit.
Now, speaking of photo friendly, there is a game that I have spent a lot of time with very recently that I'm really excited about, and I think you should pick it up.
Child, tuck yourself in bed and let me tell a story of Lemuria, a long-lost kingdom, and a girl born for glory. In Austria was a crown land ruled by a duke. Aurora was his daughter, child of a duchess mysterious, beloved by her father.
That is Child of Light from Ubisoft. It's one of their indie titles that they've made, and it is perhaps one of the most beautiful games ever made. I got a code a little while ago for the Xbox One, and basically think of the most ornate tapestry you could imagine, of a really classic kind of European aesthetics, and introduce this beautiful young, again, this caricature into this world of this young child that can float around and just wants to find her father. Everything inside this game is said in limericks and in rhyming iambic pentameter, and it's just beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. In terms of the actual combat, it's interesting because it adopts a turn-based combat style where you're in this scenario. It's very Final Fantasy-esque, if you will, and you need to, queue up your attacks as it goes on the slide there. And we'll see some videos of that on Video Game Sophistry on YouTube if you do want to see, because I'm doing a walkthrough there. And I thought it was really in-depth. I thought there's a lot of options, and I just loved the introduction of new mechanics. This is a game that's still an indie title, but it introduced new mechanics really effectively. Your ability to fly, as soon as you get that ability to fly, you use it. Your ability, again, to use the Oculus, as soon as you get that ability, they give you incidents in the game for you to use it. It never seems like it's just tacked on. And that is unbelievably tight gameplay design. Now, there are some difficulties with it. It does kind of drag on a little bit. The first few hours are fun. You're flying around. You're trying to find this silly girl's dead father, and you're making jokes with everyone around you. It's a fun time. But 5 hours in, maybe 6 or 10 even.
Holy moly!
Yeah, it starts to get a little tedious. It starts to get a little repetitive. I just think it needed to be edited a little bit, and it would have been perfect. I'm just at the end right now. And it's just really alternative. It's not something that I've experienced in a game. It's something that's light. It's beautiful. It really resonates artistically. Each new realm has its own beautiful artistic sense and style. So again, it's something that I really think you should pick up if you have an opportunity. Give it a check on Video Game Sophistry again, just to see what it's about, see if it's your cup of tea. It's very inexpensive, and it's something that people who perhaps even don't play games, I think, could appreciate. It's something that will bring new gamers into the fold. So pick it up. Again, that is Child of Light, Ubisoft products. And now we have our feature interview this week. Very excited to talk about this. The game Daylight just came out. It's hailed to be one of the scariest games this year. And we talked to the studio director, Gerritzen. He has some new ideas of how we are supposed to make games. Some really new, innovative ways to bring terror back into games. Let's find out if you get scared.
Hello? Anybody there?
Now, when's the last time you actually played a game that frightened you? It's been a couple console generations for me since that happened. Well, Zombie Creative Studio head Gerritzen promises to make you pee your pants once again with their new game Daylight, available very soon. He's here to talk about it. Thank you very much, sir, for joining the show.
Thanks for having me.
Right off the bat, when was the last time, beyond your own game, that you were actually frightened thanks to playing a video game?
It was definitely Daylight. It actually kind of scares the entire team. It's kind of one of those terrible decisions of development where a lot of us worked on Fear, Condemned, The Suffering, a lot of horror games, and we have a pretty good pedigree. But those games are scary 2 or 3 times when you hit those gags. With Daylight, it scares you every time. If you really get into it and you allow yourself to truly be immersed, you don't have the standard video game elements where you see that same cluster of boxes and you go, I know something's going to pop out of this. With Daylight, it's completely procedural. It changes each time you play. It's kind of like we made essentially the tools and we gave it to a ghost inside of the game, and the ghost kind of runs around and does everything. It's pretty horrifying.
What's the basic premise to start us off? Just a little bit of info of what we're getting into once we do play the game.
So the basic premise is you start off as a character named Sarah, and she kind of stumbles her way through this world trying to find out why she's there. She pretty much wakes up there unknowing why, and learns a bloodline history that she's connected to these essentially witches that have the power to kind of confuse anyone and put them into a kind of a maze purgatory. So that's why every time you play the game, it's completely different, as they've put you through another maze.
And this is not going to be like a 30-hour episodic sort of thing. From when I was reading, you can get through this pretty quickly, but you encourage replay sort of thing.
Exactly. The game really started off as kind of a love letter to Twitch and YouTube. We were primarily a first-person shooter multiplayer company. And through our just interminglings of this new media, we started to notice more and more that games like DayZ or Minecraft, these single-player or co-op player games, kind of thrived a lot the way that multiplayer games worked. And really what it broke down to was everyone could watch someone play and enjoy that game. And when they played, it was a completely different experience. And it was right around the same time that we got Unreal 4, which is we are primarily an Unreal game development studio. We use the same engine over and over again, and we've been using Unreal 3 for about 9 years. So when we got Unreal 4, we started to look at what it could do. And what it could do is actually use these volumes that allowed us to kind of make rules, and then the volumes would take those rules and populate the world with not only elements such as chairs or just decoration, but also horror elements. And so it kind of evolved from that, where it's like, we saw a lot of people doing Slenderman games and all the horror games, and we we took it upon ourselves to grab about 10 guys in the studio, and we kind of slapped this game together and brought it to PAX and had a bunch of publishers come at us, and we signed with Atlas to bring it to the PlayStation 4, and it was kind of, it's history from there. But it was it's one of those things where it's definitely driven by the social element of video games that's becoming very, very popular these days.
I'd love to learn more, just a little bit about you creating these volumes and then essentially making it a different experience anytime. You've been making games for a while. Have you ever been able to do that before? Is this something that Unreal 4 offers that, is individual?
It's something that out of the box it offered. I think what it was is you can always make games like this, and I'm honestly surprised that there hasn't been a lot more procedurally generated games like this. But it was one of those kind of like perfect storm elements where I was really kind of looking at what the landscape was going to do. Rather than doing a shooter over and over again, we do free-to-play first-person shooters, which usually last for 6-7 years instead of just 1 year. So we had a small team, and it was kind of like, okay, well, we've got a small group. We can make a side-scroller game, or we could do this or that. But it was kind of one of that perfect storm where my technical artists showed me this blueprint is what it's called. And it just kind of fell into place. It was kind of like it was just kind of possessed, and it just went through the entire team. It was kind of like a ghost took us all over to make this thing. It was very interesting just to see it evolve.
And now from that, you talked a lot about having the social experience of making sure that that's a big part of this game. How is that going to be implemented in Daylight? Exactly how will it be that kind of social game?
Well, one of the big factors that we just announced at PAX is that when you're playing Daylight on the PC or the PlayStation, you're able to stream it to Twitch, and your Twitch stream will as we progress will give people hints to code words and secret phrases that will allow the stream to actually scare the player, which hasn't been done.
That's fast.
Yeah, very much at all. I can't think of that many games that have actually done it, period.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there's that element where you have these players getting scared by the people that are watching, and the people that are watching will hopefully feel as if they're kind of being more of a part of the player, which a lot of the very, very large streamers are very driven by who they have or who they're watching.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very interesting. I mean, we lucked out. We were lucky enough to get a couple, or actually the entire game played by PewDiePie, who's one of the biggest YouTubers around,
mm-hmm.
and just seeing the connection, and also just the amount of people that are now aware of it just from a YouTuber. It's really kind of amazing just to see that normally you would have to buy magazine ads, or you'd have to buy commercials, or you'd have to do X, Y, and Z. But these YouTubers and Twitch people are becoming so powerful that they're able to drive so much with just enjoying the game. And now when people are streaming it, they'll be able to not only enjoy the player, but they'll also be able to affect their favorite player that's playing.
Yeah, that's the fascinating aspect, that you're actually trying to introduce some gameplay mechanics through that shared experience. And you've obviously been testing with that. How has it been received, I guess?
Everyone's really excited about it. I've seen it work here internally, and it's going to be very interesting to see what the dark side, so the trolls or the people that are just constantly spamming that. But luckily enough, we have timeouts, we have things. So hopefully, people will be pretty active on their stream and banning people from spamming. But those couple guys that are sitting there and they type in the right phrase and make that streamer jump. That's that's almost as cool as people replying back to you. I know that there's a lot of kids out there that, get excited that, someone just replies to them, but now when they affect them jumping, that's going to be a whole new high, I think.
Mm-hmm. And then there'll be streams of those streams, and it gets meta and meta after that. Oh my God.
Exactly. It's going to go next level.
Exactly, next level.
Down the rabbit hole.
I always think one of the biggest problems I've had, I guess, with recent horror type games is that tension for me is sort of lost when you can very easily, you'll have a very, well-crafted scene, but you can reload. And as opposed to horror and kind of other mediums, you have to stick in that path. What are you doing in Daylight so that it does feel fresh? I think you touched on a little bit there, but how are you breaking that mold, I guess?
So how it works is each time someone says, presses the executable or hits a checkpoint, what happens is the world has a bunch of building blocks, and it has a start and a stop, and it builds a path to it. And then out of those building blocks, if they have open doors, it then builds out of those open doors, and it keeps on progressing, so on and so forth, until the map is completed. Then it takes those volumes that I talked about, the blueprints, and it populates the world with chairs and doors and everything that you would expect instead of empty rooms. But then it adds the secret sauce, what I consider is the sound, the ambient sounds, the triggers that will make something happen. And that is that thing that if you watch someone play, or if you play and then you play again, it's not going to be the same. And I've made video games for quite a while, so if I play a game, and I can usually find myself through fairly easy, but I find myself getting lost so much, and needing to use the mechanics of the game to see, to find my way in and out of the world. And I think that's going to be the big thing. I think that the hardcore fan that likes to get scared, they're going to be able to play it over and over again. And we plan on doing a lot of support for the game after launch. We really hope to do DLC and more stuff after that. So it's going to be kind of a very interesting growing organism, really, for the game. We want it to evolve. We want people to, kind of get excited about it, and then start to, help drive some ideas with the world. We really drive a lot of social here at Zombie with a lot of that.
Yeah,
stuff.
well,
So it should be pretty cool.
It does sound fascinating that it's not only an opportunity for you to experience this on its own right, and things are changing, but the idea of having direct influence into other worlds and other gameplay mechanics, and then being able to see that too. It just seems like there's a lot of opportunities to not only have a great time playing this game, but people who enjoy, watching any sort of YouTubers, the comedy of seeing someone being terrified by that in this way. And a lot of games, I don't think really take advantage of that. It takes the initiative of some interesting YouTubers to, create kind of medium art like that. But it seems like you guys are providing a canvas that can do that very easily.
That's what we really wanted to do, and that's kind of like why I definitely say it's our love letter to that element, is because it really spawned off of a lot of that. If we weren't so active with a lot of those guys already, I don't think that we would have seen that. And I think that a lot of publishers are going, oh, horror, this is the new thing, and they're making I would say more like thrill rides. They're making games where you hit the trigger, the monster comes out, shakes you around, and then you move forward, and then you hit the next trigger, that X happens, and you hit the next trigger, that Y happens. But I think the thing is they weren't looking at the big picture. They were seeing these YouTubers getting massive views, and the game's going into this other stratosphere because it was scaring the person, but they didn't understand what the long tail of it is. You have X, Y, and Z YouTuber or live streamer play the game, and if the person watches them and they see the exact same experience on both screens or both plays, then they feel that they've had that experience. They go, okay, well, I know it's going to happen. And
very much.
I really don't need to play it now because I've gotten scared once, I've gotten scared twice. Now I know exactly where those are, because even if you like to get scared, as a human, you get it goes subconscious. You start to go like, okay, this is exactly where it is. I'm going to prep myself, and boom, not scared. Okay, well, that's not a scary game anymore. This game has it has literally a ghost in the machine, in the sense of it'll start to do a swell where you're expecting to have a monster jump out of nowhere, and nothing happens. So that builds the tension for the player. It doesn't set an expectation. It just builds tension.
Oh, of course, it sounds like we're battling Skynet here. This is fascinating. I just again, that I know exactly what you're talking about, of going on those games that just kind of seem like roller coasters. You press a button, you know it's going to be coming, and I think for a lot of gamers who really genuinely enjoy horror, that's kind of been lost on them. Also, when you're strapped with a nuke on your back and you're facing these horrors, it's not quite the same experience. In terms of the actual scares, those instances of where we will be frightened, I know it's really hard to catalog and classify. Is it going to be more kind of gross out, cat and mouse sort of thing, big atmospheric? What would be an example, I guess?
Definitely a more of a Eastern Japanese style horror.
Okay, all right.
Because really, you can't play any game that has a gun in front of my screen that I don't see blood. Like blood in real life is nasty, and you might go, "Wow, that's terrible." But blood in a video game, like you see people get ripped apart by monsters. You see blood everywhere, and it's not as scary as the tension that you get with like a Japanese horror movie, or the more subliminal movies such as like a paranormal activity. Like there might have been some blood, but it's more the your brain playing those tricks on you. It's definitely more of a subconscious type of horror.
And with the way that you've been able to create it, you believe there'll be more instances where we'll be expecting things that maybe we saw beforehand, and I imagine that would just heighten what you're looking for, right? That subconscious horror.
Yeah, it's one of those games that sometimes we're afraid that we made it too scary.
Well, that is a soundbite and a half, sir. My goodness. Well, it's games that we might have made them too scary. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking a lot about the nature of horror games and, what makes them exactly frightening. It's not just, like we were saying, they need to actually be scary and different and changing and be dynamic. How can the genre progress in your estimation so that is kind of reintroduced back in gaming? Can we still have that sort of mentality in a larger budget, a 30-hour kind of shooter game, or can that never really work?
I think that it's going to be evolution. I mean, you look at first-person shooter multiplayer games 6 years ago. They're very simple. There were, 3 or 4 guns, you run around, and it was a solid experience. But now you look at these juggernauts, and they've taken and they've iterated over and over and over again. I mean, this industry, it's funny. If you make something original and no one steals it, it wasn't a good idea. I guarantee you next year someone's going to take Daylight and go, "Oh, we should add zombies." Or let's do X, Y, or Z. I mean, it's going to evolve. I strongly feel that with Daylight, people are going to see it and go, "Oh wow, okay, let's take this and now let's put 100 people on it and $30 million, and let's go to that next step." I hope it's us, but being a small independent studio, we tend to see big boys borrowing ideas that we came up with, and whatever. That's it just means it's a good idea. But I really think that the evolution of horror is going to be less of the scripted gags, which we worked on Fear and Condemned. Like, I made scripted gags, like. You hit trigger and event happens, and most of the time people would weirdly look left. I don't know why.
Always left, really.
Yeah, it was really strange. It was a very odd experience that we had. So, you have these elements where people are going to go like, okay, well, shit, that's really cool. People love being scared. I mean, look at Hollywood right now. It's almost every other week there's a new big horror movie coming out. And I think that people are kind of getting excited about that adrenaline that's coming out. So I'm hoping that horror does kind of relatch on the way that Resident Evil Silent Hill back in the day was, which were amazing. Those were very, very those still strike a chord in my in my player's brain. But I think the next level is in games is going to be a lot of VR. I seriously think that, as Oculus comes out and as Sony comes out with their VR set, we have Daylight running on Oculus, for example. And the thing that I feel is that kind of is the most horrifying element is I can look behind me. And you can always look behind you with a mouse and keyboard or a thumbstick on a controller, but it's still that disconnection from my brain all the way down to my arm. When it's my brain to my neck, you kind of twitch to look behind you. That's where that true, scary, real element kicks in, because, I don't think that there's ever been anyone that hasn't walked down an empty road or walked through their hallway and felt, oh shit, there's something behind me. And that's the thing that I think that VR is going to do for horror elements, is it's going to make it more connected to the primal side of your brain, and it's going to make it way, way, way worse. But we also did a lot of terrible things already. We're using RealD 3D to give 3D TVs a much deeper experience, which is really amazing. And we also are using 7.1 surround sound, which will just on the PC is going to be really kind of crazy, because we do have things running up behind you. So there's a lot of really, it's a pretty scary game. We actually have a couple devs that have asked not to have to test the game.
Really? And you don't have you said you have like 6 people, right, working on this, so it's not as if these are people that
we have about 10. We flux from like 6 to 10 people, and I mean it's pretty wild. Our audio guys have done a complete, a massive bang up job. They actually worked on the Saw games, so they have like a good hoarder tension soundtrack in their brain that they've been able to really kind of pull out and do really great stuff. So it's been a really wild experience with this whole game.
No, you're scaring me already. I love to see where you think it's going. I think that's fascinating. Exactly what you talked about of introducing VR and moving your head like that and hearing, like a scuttle of something behind you. And what that means is, I think that's a big experience that you get from going to the movies and seeing those great horror movies that really isn't always replicated in games. And ideally, from what you've said here about Daylight, it's going to seem new and dynamic. New technology is going to have it all around you. Really can't wait for it. Other very interesting thing, where do you think that social aspect that you're really pushing hard in your game, how is that going to be implemented in your estimation in other games going forward?
I hope people think about it and seriously design around it, other than just use it as a USP. Because I could see your standard games that come out once a year. Just typing in oh, cheer, and people just cheer. I could see very simple things, but I could also see people really thinking above and beyond, and not only making it so someone can play by themselves and get affected by the world, but I could easily see someone making up NPCs that could be the chat could go versus the player, where there could be elements where there's just so much that you can do with it. Like, you can connect it to so many things in the game where I could see a first-person shooter where the chat could be all of the NPCs trying to kill the player. Like, that seems crazy.
Yeah,
that's $1 million idea. That someone will hopefully steal. And
you heard it here first. VGS AM 640. Heard it here first. Continue, sir.
But yeah, I mean, you can just kind of let your imagination go. Like, what could a horde of people that just have words to fight me with do? You could do something like that, or you can even do something where it could be as simple as a sports game where the other side could say, do an opposing football move, or linemen can do X, Y, and Z. Sorry, I just saw too many people wearing Seahawks uniforms over here. But no, there's so many things that can happen with just that element. It's just up to the developer to kind of think of that next step that no one's really seen it all yet.
Well, yeah, it's not a problem. It's just, again, really, really innovative stuff and really cutting edge. Since I've been talking about this for a little while, I haven't had experience to really get to the nitty gritty of what's coming up next. And it seems like what you guys are offering in Daylight is really what's coming up next. So again, big thank you for joining the show. Really appreciate it. When can players pick it up?
The 29th of April this month.
What's it available on as well?
PlayStation and PC. Will be on Steam and PlayStation 4 network.
So again, just a very, very short time. If you listen to even a part of this talk, you gotta get it. Just think about that experience. Think about that fear. Again, thank you so much, Zombie Creative Studio head Jared Gerritzen. Really appreciate you taking the time to talk about Daylight.
Thank you very much.
Andy Burkowski, VGS. That is, of course, VGS again for the month of May to get us started. Big thanks to everyone who participated in our show. Of course, Shaggy Davidson pressing the buttons. And we had the studio director of Daylight joining us, Jared Gerritzen, which I hope I'm saying correctly. I always say people's names wrong. But it was great to hear him talk about, what's changing in games. Big shows coming up soon. E3 is going to be there very soon. Make sure you keep watching. Make sure you keep listening. VGS _640 on Twitter, Video Game Sophistry on pretty much everything else, Facebook,
Just
YouTube,
Google
everything like that. You Google Video Game Sophistry, you will see this face. And let me tell you, it's worth a Google.
Okay.
I'm Andy Burkowski.
And I'm Dave, the Shagalicious one.
And this is VGS.
Check back next week for VGS on AM 640.
Without a doubt, the worst episode ever. Rest assured that I was on the internet within minutes, registering my disgust throughout the world.